book review on The Witch's Book of the Dead by Christian Day. A lot of people have been doing it lately, and the reason why I bought the book was because it sounded like something that was right up my alley. I've always been into ancestor worship and communicating with the dead, so I was really excited to see that it was a book solely for people who consider themselves witches. A lot of times, a lot of the books that I found were voodoo or santeria or balo, but this was more focused on just witches, and so that's why I bought it. I have it on my Kindle. I have most of my recent books on my Kindle, so I can't show you guys the book like everyone else does, but I finished it today and I loved it. But like I said, it's right up my alley. This is what I'm interested in. A lot of what Christian Day is talking about in this book resonates with me very well. I mean, it's not, he's pretty much in the beginning, he's saying, look, if you're scared of the dead, if you're scared of communicating with spirits, if any of that stuff makes you uneasy, you shouldn't be dealing with this stuff, because first of all, the spirits are going to sense that, and you could get yourself in a lot of trouble and a lot of danger if you don't know what you're doing. And if you're scared of them, obviously, how are you going to defend yourself from them? But also, just because you're a witch, you don't have to do this stuff. This is necromancy. This is not just, you know, worshiping some gods and goddesses. This is, you know, conjuring spirits. Okay, so I guess by the end of the second chapter, he's explaining to you how to make a pact. I mean, this is serious stuff. If you're not into this kind of stuff, I don't even suggest that you read it. But if you are into necromancy, he is very well versed in this stuff. He did his research. I always thought Christian Day was kind of like a weirdo, and I guess I still do, but he knows what he's talking about. So that's why I'm taking this stuff pretty serious with what he's saying. And he did a lot of research on necromancy. He doesn't actually like to use the term because he says there's a lot of negative connotations attached to it, but that's pretty much what it is. So he's explaining how to make a pact, and when you make a pact, that's it. I mean, he's asking you to use your blood to make this pact, and because that's your soul, that's the spirit, and and your ancestors and the dead, they're attracted to blood. So you're going to be using a lot of blood in this. Of course, there's talk about using a human skull. I don't know why people are so terrified of skulls. They're dead, who cares? But the skull is used in order to, I guess, bridge the gap between the dead and the living. That's how you're going to communicate with the dead. If I had the money right now, I'd buy a skull, but I don't, so I'll be using whatever tools I can get. A resin or clear quartz skull, whatever, doesn't matter. But eventually, the further into my craft I get, I'll be purchasing a skull. And I'm really excited because actually next month I'm going to visit my grandmother again, and my mother is going to be there, so we're going to be going to my grandfather and my great-grandmother's grave, and which is perfect because he also mentions that using graveyard dirt to make a lot of the things for protection. But yeah, he gets straight to the point. There's no fluff in this. This is what you would consider dark magic, but it's not evil and malicious a lot of what he's talking about is using the spirits to do good. You're speaking with your ancestors to help you with your magic and to help you get answers. But at the same time, he talks about how witches believe in justice, and that if there's a just cause, if there's a reason for a curse or a hex, then we should do it. And he explains how we can do that, and how we can ask our ancestors to help us. But he said, make sure that it's justified, because if it's not justified, then it's going to come back and kick you in the butt. There could be serious consequences. So this is not for immature magicians and witches out there that just want to, dabble and play around with spirits. This is your life you're talking about, and these are other people's lives that were before us that passed on. And I guess the main reason why I'm so interested in this is because I've always been interested in the dead and in spirit work, divination, and things like that. And I asked myself this question: when I pass on, would I want my children, in my family and future generations to remember me? And the answer was yes. I do want them to remember me, and if they set up an altar for me, that would be pretty awesome and honored. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, as egotistical as that sounds, I would want my family to remember me. And if they needed help with anything, I would want to be the one that they go to for help, not some random deity. I want them to come to me first. Because I believe when you pass on, and like Christian Day was saying, when you're passed on and here in that astral plane, there's a lot of things that or you can predict the future, and you can share that with your family that are still living. And so I believe that my ancestors and my family that had recently passed would want to do the same thing for me. And if they didn't, they would let me know. So this is pretty much the catalyst for me. I want to set up an ancestor altar and get started on this, journey. But when I look back at things, I've been doing this stuff since I was a child. I remember as a child doing blood pacts with my friends, not even realizing, I didn't even think about it until now that I was doing that kind of stuff, cutting my finger and all that stuff. So, like I said, none of the stuff in here was shocking to me, and it's not scary to me. Actually, it's very inspiring, and it's really exciting for me that now I actually have some tools that I can use to make that connection. And he actually provides more information in the index and stuff, so I can find more books to read on this subject. But I never really had a clear understanding of what necromancy was because of the negative connotation. Ultimately, it's pretty much whether or not you want to even speak to the dead. If you don't want to speak to the dead, you don't want to have anything to do with that stuff, don't buy the book, don't read the book. He's not going to say anything to make you feel better or more comfortable working with the dead. There's nothing in here that's going to, well, since you're a witch, nothing bad's going to happen to you. It's not like that. He's just pretty much telling you how you do it. This is what you need to do. This is how you protect yourself. And these are the consequences. So dabble at your own risk, pretty much. I highly recommend this book to those who are interested in necromancy and spirit and ancestor worship. So yeah, once again, The Witch's Book of the Dead by Christian Day. Give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Blessed be.